Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Raza Ali Shah and I am a lecturer in physics at Government Degree College, Patan, Kohistan. I have been asked by Professor Naimullah to teach you classical mechanics. In fact, your course name is Classical Mechanics 2. This is a 2 semester course, and the first portion of this course you have already studied in semester number 5. So here we are going to study a bit advanced portion of it, that is from Lagrangian equation onward, the application of Lagrangian. Today is just an introductory class, so we shall just introduce ourselves to some of the important terms used in classical mechanics, and then we will go further in our course. So first thing first, let us go towards recommended book. Recommended books, there are two books I must recommend you. One of them is also on your course content, it is HEC recommended, that is Classical Mechanics by W.B. Kibble. I'll share this book with you in your Google Classroom as well, the soft form of it, of course. And the other book that I found very helpful is Classical Mechanics by Herbert Goldstein. This book is rather advanced, but I must ask you to study the first chapter of it, Survey of Elementary Principles. The first chapter of this book is very important for understanding classical mechanics, the basic mechanics of a particle and the basic formulas of classical mechanics. So you must study the first chapter of it, this book. So what is mechanics or classical mechanics? You all know already that the study of motion of material object is called classical mechanics or simply mechanics. We call it classical mechanics since last year because the laws of classical mechanics are not consistent with the quantum world. You can simply see it in the atomic structure, that the failure of Rutherford atomic model was that because it was a classical mechanics, classical model, and classical model does not go well with quantum physics or simply modern physics. So this course of yours in this semester starts from chapter number 8 of this book, Classical Mechanics by W.B. Kibble, and here chapter number 8 is titled as Many Body Systems. Chapter number 8. So, many body system. Let us consider a rigid body. Any rigid body, let's say this marker, this page, or this whiteboard, or this wall, anything is composed of very small particle. And in classical physics, we can treat these small particles as point-like particles. Like I have this rigid body, and it is composed of very small particles. And let us assume these particles are behaving like a point. But you should remember one thing, that these particles are so small that we are treating them as point-like particle, but not so small that they should follow the quantum laws, quantum mechanical laws. They should still follow the classical laws, that is Newton laws of motion or any other classical law, but they should not fall into the category of quantum particle. Let's say if you pass through them double slit, these particle double slit, they give you an interference pattern. If they are doing that, then these particles aren't classical particles. So we should remember that these particles are point like, but they are obeying classical laws of physics, not the quantum mechanical laws of physics. So here I have this body and it consists of many particles. We name them particle 1, 2, 3 up to n. So this system, I can assume that this system consists of particles, and these particles are I is equal to 1, 2, 3 up to some particle n. Now this is a complex system of particles where let us assume there is some external force Fi is acting on these particles, and these particles, particle 1, 2, 3, 4 are also interacting with each other. So we have a strange system of particles where particles are interacting with each other, and this interaction I am showing with the help of a force. That is, let us assume I have this particle here is I and this particle here is J. Then the force there is a force that is Fi on J. Similarly, the jth particle is exerting a force on ith particle, and so on and so on. So there is a whole lot of mess going around. Every particle is interacting with some other particle as with some other particle. Also, there is another force, that is, I just said that there is an external force, that is Fi. So two types of forces are acting here. One is the external force and the other one is the internal interaction of the particle with each other. Alright, here we go. So let us go back to a basic theory. Let us go back to a basic equation of motion, and that is the net force acting on a body is F is equal to mr double double dot. No, I'm sure you know that r dot is equal to dr by dt, and r double dot is d square r by dt square. This we called velocity and this we called the acceleration. So the net force acting on a body is mr double dot. So here we go with our system. Mi is the mass of a ith particle, and Ri is the center of mass of a particle or the position vector of a particle, and this Ri double dot is the acceleration produced in the mith particle. The forces acting on this particle, internal forces, are Fi1, force on ith particle due to first particle, plus force on ith particle due to second particle, up to Fi nth particle. So we can write this sum as summation J Fi on J plus the external force. The very force we were discussing already, that the ith force, the force of ith particle on the jth particle. Here we have an interesting thing, that the force of ith particle on the ith particle, and this force should always be 0. So we are left with the the system of interacting particle here we have is n minus 1 particle. There are n minus 1 interaction within the system. So let us define momentum. Linear momentum P is the product of mass and linear velocity r dot. Since we already know that the center of mass of a particle r is equal to 1 divided by capital M summation I mi r. This definition of center of mass you have already studied in previous semester, and this summation mi is equal to capital M. So this is, let's say, equation 1 and this is equation 2. Then P can be defined as summation I mi ri dot, equation number 3. Or this can be written as P is equal to m r dot. So this was our equation number 3, and it defines as, it gives us the momentum of a particle of mass m. Here m is the center of mass, and if we have an object, a rigid body which consists of number of particles, and here we have the center of mass of the object, then the momentum of this body is P is equal to mr dot. Now, what is Newton's second law of motion? According to Newton's second law of motion, F is equal to P dot, that is dP by dt. Rate of change of momentum is called force. We can write this equation as P dot is equal to, there are two types of forces, that is summation I, summation j, F ij plus summation I and sum of the external forces. Now here again we are looking at our rigid body, and it consists of a number of particles. Every particle, let's say this is the ith particle and this is the jth particle. Now the force on ith particle Fi on j should always be equal to Fji on, but with negative sign. That is the Newton's third law of motion. For every action there is an equal but opposite reaction, and this is a two-body system. In two-body system, all the forces acting in pairs cancel out each other. So all the external forces will cancel each other out, and we are left with I can say Fi on j is equal to Fj on I negative time, or Fij plus Fji should always be 0. So we can write then P is equal to P dot, that is force, is equal to mr double dot is equal to sum of all the external forces Fi. This term shall cancel out. Now if we have an isolated system, in an isolated system Fi should be 0. When Fi is 0, then we can write it in the form dP by dt should be 0. Integrating both sides, we get So we get P is equal to constant. This is the law of conservation of momentum, which states that for an isolated system, the total momentum should always conserve. So I think that was enough for today. From tomorrow onward, we shall discuss the applications of the Lagrangian equation, and if you have some confusion about the Lagrangian equation or the D'Alembert principle or even the constraint holonomic, non-holonomic, whatever the question do you have in your mind, you can post them in comments and I'll explain them to you before going further. Thank you so much.